The wind was cold. It howled across the dry, broken ground. The alien widow dragged herself forward, her knees scraped and bleeding. Her arms shook from weakness. Behind her, 2 small children held onto her back, too scared to speak, too tired. To cry, her name was Yari. Once, she had a home. Once, she had a husband who led a proud warrior tribe. But that was before the war. That was before the bombs fell and the ground cracked. Now she had nothing. No food, no shelter, no protection. Her husband was gone, and the tribe had left her behind because she was crippled. They said she was useless. A burden, they left her and her children to die. But Yari refused to die. She had heard rumors of a human medic who had set up a small camp near the ridge, just beyond the frozen hills. A man who helped the sick, even aliens. No one believed it, but she had to try. Her children hadn't eaten in 2 days. Their eyes were dull, their lips cracked from thirst. If she didn't find help soon, they wouldn't make it through the night, so she crawled. The ground was sharp and dry. Stones cut into her skin. Every movement sent pain up her twisted leg. Her arms gave out more than once, but she kept going. The only thing that kept her alive was the sound of her children's slow breathing behind her. She couldn't give up. Not while they were still breathing. Finally, she saw a metal tent, half covered in dust, standing alone near a hill of rocks. The wind carried the faint smell of fire and something warm. Her heart jumped. She was close. She reached the edge of the camp and collapsed. Inside the tent, the human medic, Corporal Davis, was checking supplies. He was alone, far from the main base, assigned to treat minor cases in this quiet zone. Most days were silent. He treated desert bugs, bandaged broken wings, gave out rations to wandering scavengers. Nothing serious. But that night, he heard something strange, soft sobs. It's like a wounded creature outside his tent. He grabbed his torch and stepped out. The sight froze him. There, on the cold ground, was an alien woman. Her body was thin, skin pale with dust and bruises. Her clothes were torn, barely holding together. 2 small children clung to her back, their tiny hands gripping her as if the wind would blow them away. She looked up at him with wide, frightened eyes. "Please," she whispered, "help us. My children are starving." Davis didn't move at first. He had never seen someone so broken, yet still breathing. Her leg was twisted badly. She couldn't have walked. She must have crawled miles. The children looked no older than 5. Their eyes were hollow, like they had forgotten what safety felt like. He rushed forward and knelt beside her. "Easy, don't move," he said, placing his hand on her back. "You're safe now." The woman flinched at his touch, but didn't pull away. He gently picked up the smaller child, then reached for the other. "Come on," he said softly. "We need to get you warm." Inside the tent, he wrapped the children in thermal blankets and handed them nutrient bars. They ate slowly at first, like they were unsure if it was real food. Then faster, hungrily. Yari watched them with trembling lips, still lying near the tent entrance, unable to move. Davis walked back to her, holding a hot cup of protein soup. "Drink this," he said. She tried to sit up, but her body didn't listen. Davis lifted her head slightly and helped her drink. The warmth hit her throat like fire, but she didn't stop. When she finished, she looked at him again. Her eyes were full of fear, but also something else. Hope. "Why did you help me?" she asked in a low voice. Davis looked at her, surprised. "You're a mother," he said. "You carried them here yourself. No one should be left out there like that." Her lips trembled again. Most wouldn't care. "I do," he replied. She looked down, her voice breaking. "I didn't know. Where else to go?" "You came to the right place," he said. He examined her wounds. Her leg needed treatment. Her body was dehydrated and weak. The scars on her back weren't from falling. They were from whips. He said nothing about them, but he saw how she tensed when he touched near them. The night grew darker outside, but inside the tent, it was quiet and warm. The children slept soundly, wrapped in soft blankets. Yari lay still, her body beginning to relax for the first time in many days. But Davis stayed awake. Something wasn't right. A woman like her, wounded and scared, with children crawling all. The way to his camp there had to be more to the story. And the scars, the bruises, the fear in her eyes, they told him someone had hurt her. Badly. He looked at the fire, then back at the sleeping alien woman and her children. He didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But tonight, he would protect them no matter what. The human medic sat beside her while the children slept. He had seen wounds before, burns, bites, broken bones, but never a woman who had dragged herself miles with a crippled leg and 2 children on her back. She tried to stay awake, but her body gave in. Her head rested on the soft mat, her breathing slow, weak but steady. Corporal Davis worked quickly. He rolled up his sleeves, cleaned her cuts, and began wrapping her swollen ankle. She didn't wake. He tried not to move her too much, but when he lifted her tunic to check her ribs, he stopped. There were bruises long, dark marks across her side, and older scars deeper on her back. Not from war, not from falling. These were different. Clean lines. Repeated strikes. He swallowed hard. Someone had beaten her. He touched one of the bruises lightly. Her body flinched. She opened her eyes. For a moment, she looked confused, like she forgot where she was. Then she saw him and froze. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said gently. She didn't respond. Her eyes dropped to the bandage on her leg. "You should rest," he added. "I gave you something mild to help the pain." Still no answer. He paused, then sat back. "What's your name?" She looked at her children sleeping beside the heater before answering Yari. She whispered, "I'm Davis," he said. "You're safe now." Yari stared at the tent walls, her fingers curling around the thin blanket. "You shouldn't have helped me," she said quietly. Davis raised an eyebrow. "Why? They'll come for me." "Who? The ones who owned my husband?" Davis frowned. "Owned." She nodded slowly. "He owed debts to a war clan. When he died, they claimed his family as payment. I ran, I thought. Maybe someone would help." She turned her face away. No one did. Davis didn't speak for a while. The fire crackled gently in the corner. The wind howled outside the tent walls, trying to get in, but inside it was warm, calm. "I'm not like them," he said finally. He came to the right place. She looked back at him. "Why are you here?" "I'm a medic," he said. "I volunteered for this sector. I thought maybe someone would need me." Gave a weak laugh, dry and broken. "And someone did." He smiled. For the next hour, he cleaned the last of her wounds and gave her water. Her children stirred once or twice, but didn't cry. They were too tired, used to hunger and fear. Later that night, Davis heard footsteps outside. He grabbed his scanner and peeked through the flap. Nothing, just wind. Still. He tightened the outer seal and locked the entry. He knew what she said was true. Someone would come looking for her. He returned to her side. She was trying to sit up, her body shaking. "Don't," he said, rushing to help. "I can't lie down while you work," she said, breathless. "I should show respect." "You need to heal," he replied. "And I'm not your master." She blinked that word. Not your master. It didn't make sense to her. All her life men had taken. Her father traded her for food. Her husband ruled with fists. Strangers ignored her. Kindness was something she had seen only in dreams. But this human, he was different. She whispered, "Why are you kind to me?" Davis didn't answer right. Away. He looked at her children, then at her, because no one else was. She looked down. "I don't have anything to offer," she said. "I'm broken, weak." "You're a mother who crawled through the wild to save her kids," he said. "That's strength." For the first time, her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. She just nodded, slowly, like someone who hadn't heard kind words in years. Davis gave her a soft pillow and tucked the blanket under her shoulder. "You'll sleep here tonight," he said, "but no arguments," he added. She closed her eyes. Just for a moment, Davis sat near the fire, watching the tent flap. One hand rested on his sidearm. He didn't know who she was running from, but now she wasn't. Running alone. The morning was quiet, but the air held weight like something was coming. Yari opened her eyes slowly. She had expected to wake up cold and alone again, but she wasn't. Her children were warm beside her, wrapped in soft blankets. The smell of cooked food filled the tent. A strange sound reached her ears, something she hadn't heard in a long time. Laughter. Her daughter was giggling. Her son was chewing. The human medic was kneeling beside them, holding up a spoon like a spaceship. Pretending it was flying toward her open mouth, Yari sat up too quickly, wincing as her leg throbbed. Davis turned and smiled. "Easy," he said. "You're not healed yet." She looked away, ashamed. "I shouldn't have slept so long. You needed it," he said. And they needed to see their mother breathing easy for once. Yari lowered her head, then slowly reached for her daughter's hand. The little girl smiled and pressed her tiny fingers around her mother's. The moment was warm, but Yari knew warmth never lasted. Later that day, while the children napped, Yari stood up, using the tent's support pole. She limped toward Davis, who was organizing supplies at the far end. He didn't see her coming. "Human," she said quietly. He turned. "Call me Davis." "Right." She nodded slowly. "Davis." There was a pause. Then she reached down and pulled the fabric from her shoulders, revealing the pale skin beneath the torn dress. He stared at her in shock. She didn't meet his eyes. "This is what I can offer. My body is not perfect, but stop," he said, his voice firm but not angry. She froze. He stepped closer and gently pulled her tunic back over her shoulder. His touch was soft, almost like she was made of glass. "You don't have to do that," he said. Her voice trembled. "But you gave us food, shelter. No one gives without taking something. Please, just take me so you won't send us away." "Not going to send you away," he replied. "I don't want you like this. Not out of fear, not out of debt." She finally looked at him, confusion swimming in her eyes. "Then why are you helping me?" she asked. "No one else ever did." He took a slow breath. "Because it's right," he said. Yari didn't move. She didn't know how to answer that. Davis stepped back and sat down, motioning for her to do the same. "I know people hurt you," he said. "I saw the bruises, but you're safe now. I won't take anything from you." She lowered herself, slowly sitting across from him. "No one's ever refused me before," she whispered. "That's because no one ever saw the real you," he replied. "They saw a body. I see a mother who crawled through danger to keep her kids alive. I see someone worth protecting." A tear slid down her cheek, but she wiped it quickly. "You say I'm safe, but what if they find me?" she asked Davis. Looked at her for a moment, then reached into his belt and placed a small device in her hand. A panic beacon. "If anyone comes for you," he said, "press that. I'll be there before they can touch you." Yari stared at the device like it was a treasure. "I don't know how to repay you," she whispered. "You don't need to," he said. "Just stay alive." That night, after the children had eaten and fallen asleep again, Davis sat near the tent entrance. Watching the stars blink in the dark sky, Yari sat beside her kids, awake, her back resting against the warm side of the tent. She looked at the man who had given her safety and asked for nothing. And for the first time in her life, she didn't feel like property. She didn't feel like a problem. She just felt human. But far away in the dark hills, a glowing tracker blinked red. Her location was no longer a secret. Someone was coming. The sky turned gray by morning. Yari was folding the blankets when she suddenly froze. Her eyes locked onto the hills beyond the tent wall. Her fingers trembled. Her breath caught in her throat. The tracker was no longer silent. She could feel it in her bones. He had found her. Inside the tent, Davis was boiling water for tea. He turned when he saw her shaking. "What's wrong?" She pointed toward the hills. "He's here," she said. Davis didn't ask who. He already knew. Her eyes said everything. He walked outside and scanned the distance. There on the edge of the ridge, a figure stood still. Not hiding. Not sneaking. Standing tall and confident like a predator waiting to strike. The wind pulled at his black cloak. A curved weapon hung from his belt, glowing faintly with blue heat. Yari stepped outside, her limp slowing her down. "You have to hide the children," she said.
Oh.
"He'll kill them first to hurt me." Davis turned. "Get back in the tent and stay low. I'll handle him. You don't understand, he's not just a bounty hunter. He was my husband's blood brother. He thinks I belong to him now." Davis didn't blink. "Then let's show him you don't." He walked forward, crossing the dusty flat ground between the tent and the ridge. The hunter didn't move until Davis stopped a few meters away. "You're a long way from home," Davis said. The hunter tilted his head. His voice was cold, sharp, like a blade. "You're sheltering property." "She's not property," Davis replied. "She's under my protection." The hunter laughed a slow, cruel sound. "You think your words matter? Human laws don't apply here?" "Maybe not," Davis said, raising his plasma pistol. "But my bullets do." The hunter's eyes narrowed. "You would risk your life for a crippled alien and her brats?" "She risked hers to keep them alive. That makes her more valuable than you'll ever be." A silence passed between them, thick and heavy, then fast as lightning. The hunter drew his blade and charged, but Davis was ready. The plasma pistol fired once, lighting the ground in a flash of red. The shot struck the blade and sent it flying from the hunter's hand. Sparks exploded across the dirt. The hunter fell, rolled, and leaped back up with a snarl. But now Davis stood firm, pistol locked to his target. "Next shot goes through." "Your heart," he said calmly. The hunter clenched his fists but didn't move. "Tell your clan," Davis said. "If they send one more man after her, they'll face someone who doesn't miss." "You can't guard her forever," the hunter growled. "I won't need to," Davis replied, "because soon she won't need guarding." The hunter gave one last glare, then turned and vanished into the dust-like smoke swallowed by the wind. Davis waited a few seconds, then lowered his weapon. Behind him, Yari stepped out, her eyes wide, her hands shaking. You stood alone." Davis turned to her. "You don't belong to anyone. Not anymore." She couldn't speak. She just dropped to her knees in the dirt, not in fear, but in disbelief. She had expected him to give her up. She had expected him to tell the hunter, "Take her. She's not worth it." But he didn't. He fought for her. She looked up at him, her voice barely a whisper. "Why are you doing this?" "Because your children deserve to grow up free," he said. "And so do you." She covered her mouth, trying not to cry, but the tears came anyway. Inside the tent, the children ran to their mother, hugging her tightly, not even knowing what almost happened. Davis looked back toward the hills. He knew the danger wasn't over, but something had changed. This woman wasn't alone anymore, and neither were her children. Snow fell lightly outside the tent, soft and quiet like it didn't know a battle had just happened. Inside, the heat from the small generator kept the children warm. The mother sat in silence, her mind spinning with emotion she couldn't name. Yar held her daughter in her lap, brushing her small braids with her fingers. Her son sat beside her, drawing with a burnt stick on a scrap of cloth. The word he was copying had only 3 letters, but it meant more than anything she had known in her life. D. He whispered "Yer." "Why Yer?" Gently corrected him. "You know, baby, say it like I taught you, not just the letters." The boy looked toward the other side of the tent. Davis stood with his back turned, checking the solar panels through the flap. His armor was dusty, his hands covered in grease from repairing broken gear. But even like this, he stood tall to her children. The boy took a deep breath. "Dad," he said softly. Yari smiled, though her heart trembled. She wasn't sure how Davis would react, but she had told her children to say it. Not as a trick, not as payment. She did it because in her mind, he had earned that title more than anyone ever had. Her daughter repeated the word, louder this time. "Dad." Davis turned slowly, its expression unreadable. The children rushed to him and wrapped their arms around his leg. He stood frozen for a moment, then knelt down slowly and hugged them both. "You two are something else," he whispered. I watched. From across the tent, a hand covering her mouth. She didn't expect him to cry. She didn't expect his hands to tremble as they held her children close. No. But in that moment, something inside him broke and something new began. Later, as the children played, Yari stepped outside the tent with Davis. The snow had stopped. Leaving a soft white layer over the desert rock, she looked up at him. I hope that wasn't too much. He shook his head. No, it just hit me harder than I thought. I told them you weren't just a helper, she said. You were the one who stayed when no one else did. He didn't respond right away. Then he asked quietly, why teach them to call me that? Because they needed someone to believe. She said, and so did I. The wind carried silence between them for a while. Then Davis spoke again. They called me a medic when I arrived here. Just a helper. Just a patch man. But no one ever called me something that made me feel like I belonged. She looked into his eyes, searching. I don't have gold, she said. I don't have land or name. All I have are my children and this broken body. But if you would accept it, you could have us. Davis turned his head slowly. You want me to be their father? He asked. I already see you as that, she replied. But it only matters if you see us as yours. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he walked back inside, lifted the cloth where the boy had been drawing, and stared at the word again. Dad. Scratched in small, shaky strokes, he sat down beside the boy, pulled him close, and whispered, You got it perfect. The boy smiled with pride outside the tent. Yari didn't follow him back in. She looked up at the stars and whispered a silent prayer. One she hadn't dared speak since the day her old world burned. Thank you for giving us someone who didn't run. But not everyone in the system was happy with her choice. Just beyond the mountain range, a communication signal had reached the nearest outpost, and someone important now knew that the medic had claimed something that wasn't his. The next morning, a loud humming echoed across the rocks. Davis stepped out of the tent, his hand already near his sidearm. A military shuttle had landed just beyond the ridge, kicking dust and snow into the sky. Its engines glowed with authority. No signal had warned of its arrival. No message was sent. This wasn't a casual visit. 2 armored soldiers marched toward him. One wore a sharp silver badge, the kind used by planetary inspectors. The other held a datapad glowing red. Davis stood, still, face calm, but his heart beat faster. The lead officer didn't smile. Corporal Davis, he said coldly. You've been reported? Reported? Davis asked. For what? The man held up the datapad. You are harboring a non-registered alien female and 2 undocumented dependents in a restricted zone. Under Interworld Regulation 17.4, that's illegal custody of potential property. Davis's jaw clenched. She is not property. Oh, she's a widow and a mother. The officer didn't flinch, that may be. But according to the scan, he tapped the screen, her clan mark is still active. That means she's under legal claim unless transferred. She was beaten, hunted, and left to die, Davis said. I saved her. That's not how the law sees it, the officer replied. You have 3 days? After that, if she's still unregistered and unclaimed, she will be seized and auctioned along with her offspring. Davis stepped forward. She is not a thing to be auctioned. Then marry her, the officer said. Davis blinked. What? Only 2 legal paths exist, the officer said. Official transfer of ownership or legal union. If you marry her under Earth Alliance Treaty, she becomes your protected dependent. Same for the children. Davis stared at the man, not speaking. Have 72 hours, the officer added. After that, our hands are tied. Shuttle lifted into the sky, leaving behind silence and dust. Inside the tent, Yari was holding her daughter tightly. Her son peeked through a hole in the flap, his eyes filled with fear. Davis walked in. Slower than usual they came, she said. He nodded. They gave us a deadline. She sat down beside the fire, quiet. He told her everything about the rule, the scan, and the choice. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. Then she looked up. Will you marry me? Davis froze. I'm not asking you to love me, she said. I know I'm not what most would choose. I walk with a limp. I have nothing but 2 small children and a broken past. But I would give you everything I am. He sat across from her. You don't have to give me anything, he said softly. Then take us as your family, she said. Take us in name so they can't take us by force. He looked at her hands, rough and scarred but gentle. He looked at the children playing near the heater, unaware that strangers wanted to steal their peace. Then he nodded. Yes, he said, if a name is what it takes to protect you, then my name is yours. Yari didn't smile. She simply lowered her head and whispered, Thank you. Davis stood and walked outside, scanning the hills again. 3 days. 3 days. Until the law came crashing down. Unless he moved faster. Unless he did something bold. Inside, Yari pulled her children close. She didn't understand much about human marriage. But she understood one thing: Davis was willing to risk everything. And that meant he already was family. But far away, in a dark control room, someone else watched the same scan the soldiers. Used. A red dot blinked on the screen. A voice hissed into the speaker. We found her, the slave and her pups. Prepare the ship. Time was running out. The sky above the Capitol Tower was dark with thunder. Inside the Galactic registration hall, voices echoed off cold metal walls. Aliens, humans, machines, gathered for the day's transfer proceedings. Bounty sellers stood beside their captives. Buyers waited with credits. Judges watched with blank eyes. In the center of it all, 3 guards dragged in an alien widow and her 2 children. Yari kept her head low. Her wrists were bound in soft restraints, but her heart hurt more than her body. Her children cried behind her, calling for the one person who wasn't there. Where is he? Her daughter whispered. He said he would come. Yari whispered back. He will. The council judge stood, long and tall, with gold robes and glassy eyes. Case 781, female, alien class Omega. With 2 dependents, brought in for public auction under law section 14.9, the clerk stepped forward. Unclaimed. Unregistered. No family claim filed. The judge nodded once. Proceed. A gate opened. A tall figure stepped through the smoke. It was Davis. He didn't wear armor today. He wore clean ceremonial robes. Of a human officer, dark blue with silver trim. His boots echoed with each step as he crossed the floor. Yor looked up, tears rising fast in her eyes. He came like he promised. The judge raised a hand. You do not have rights to interfere. In this claim, human. Step back! Davis lifted his hand and placed a golden data chip on the pedestal. New petition filed, he said. Marriage request. Human to alien widow. Witnessed and signed. The room went quiet. The council clerk stepped forward, took the chip, scanned. It then looked at the judge, stunned. It's valid. He filed it 1 hour before the deadline. The judge narrowed his eyes. And the children? Davis turned. His voice was clear, strong, and unshaken. They are mine now, by name. Oath. I adopt them both under Earth's family law. Gasps echoed across the chamber. No one adopts aliens, someone muttered. But Davis didn't blink. He walked forward and unlatched the restraints on Yari's wrists. Then picked up her daughter and held her against his chest. The guards didn't. Stop him! The law couldn't stop him. She is not a slave, Davis said. She is my wife. They are not strays. They are my family. The judge leaned back, silent. Very well, he said at last. The law is satisfied. The claim is recognized. Release the petitioned. The guards stepped back. Why? Ari fell to her knees. Not from weakness, but from shock. Davis lifted her gently, one arm holding the girl, the other wrapped around Yari's waist. She stared at him. You really meant it, she whispered. I don't lie to my family, he replied. They walked out of the council hall together. Outside, the air was lighter. The storm clouds faded. Even the wind had softened. As they stepped into the shuttle, Yari looked at her children, smiling for the first time without fear. And Davis looked ahead. knowing there would still be challenges, but now they faced them. Together, not as strangers, not as master and servant, not as rescuer and rescued, but as a family.